Petr Cech's career is one big miracle. He's the greatest goalie in Premier League history, but was also a few seconds away from becoming a Premier League tragedy. Crazy thing is, Cech's been fighting his way into the game from the very beginning.
It's denied by Cech, as it meant to be.
Petr Cech with a super save. And Podolski, top save.
And a wonderful save by Cech.
Cech in trouble. That's a good save from Cech.
Petr Cech was born in the Czech Republic as a triplet. Being one of 3 kids, Cech was diagnosed to have a weaker skull, and this disadvantage would come back to haunt him in the coming years. But early on, Cech was obsessed with the game. But there was one major difference, because back then, he played as a striker for Viktoria Plzeň. But his dreams of becoming a prolific goal scorer in the major European leagues came to an end when he suffered a broken leg while playing for the youth team. This injury was so serious because it damaged the pace and explosiveness needed to become a top striker. But Cech didn't let this setback hold him down and discourage him. Instead, he used it to his advantage. See, Cech realized he was incredibly tall for his age, and since he couldn't run as fast anymore, he decided to train himself into a position that would change his life: a goalkeeper. Cech became an instant hit. He started working his way up the ranks at Plzeň, and as he started rising, Chanel Busany in the Czech Professional League took notice and gave him his first big break in football. Cech's debut match was a 3-1 defeat to Sparta Prague, but this was still only the beginning, because once he warmed his gloves up and got a feel for the league, Cech began making a series of impressive saves that in the end had Sparta Prague demanding his services. Only thing is, Sparta was in a bidding war with Werder Bremen for Cech. But come on, did you really think a team named Sparta, a war chant, could lose to a club from Germany? Jokes aside, Cech became a revelation for Sparta. In the 2001-02 season, he broke the record for the longest time without conceding a goal by Theodor Riemann, creating a new record of 903 minutes, and led his team to a title push, losing out to the title on the final day by points, but still impressively keeping the most clean sheets in the league and qualifying for the Champions League second playoff round. And if you thought this was impressive enough, it was only the tip of the iceberg, because in the under-21 Euros of that summer, Cech announced himself to the continent. Coming into the tournament, even though it was at youth level, no one fancied the Czech Republic to go far, because in previous editions they never did. But Cech and his teammates were determined to change that, and the performance got better with every game. To the surprise of the entire world, they made it to the final against France. At this point, it looked like the fairy tale run was going to come to an end, because that France team was already raising talents like Sidney Govou and Philippe Mexe. But somehow, the Czech Republic managed to contain all that French firepower, and after a 1-1 draw in normal time, took the game to a penalty shootout. Both teams even scored the first kick, but what followed next was the birth of an international star. Cech saved the next 3 penalties against France and led the Czech Republic to its first youth title in the country's history. After his amazing performances in the competition, Cech earned a move to Rennes in France to test his abilities against tougher opposition, and even though he was playing for a relatively weaker side, Cech still managed to impress in France. In the league game against PSG, he put in an incredible performance against ballers Ronaldinho and Pochettino to earn him the Man of the Match award, and even helped the club escape relegation on the final day with another exceptional performance against Montpellier. And after 2 seasons at Rennes, it became clear Cech was destined for a move to the big time, but I'd bet even he would have been surprised when a certain Portuguese man offered him the chance to join a revolution. At Chelsea, the takeover was in full swing. The new owner, Roman Abramovich, had just bought the club and was immediately looking to make them a top team capable of dominating the big boys in Europe, so he brought the best manager in the continent at the time, Jose Mourinho, and straight away Jose went to work. See, Jose knew if he was going to compete and challenge for titles, he needed a defensive unit that was top notch, and having kept eyes on Cech all summer, Jose knew he was the man. So he had Chelsea strike a $7 million deal with Rennes, and days later Cech was Chelsea's new goalie. The plan probably was for Cech to have a few easy games to ease his way into the team, but after the starting goalie Carlo Cudicini got an injury to his elbow in pre-season, Cech was immediately promoted to the first choice position, and his first season at the Bridge was historic. Chelsea didn't just win the league, they bossed it. The attacking aspect was great, with guys like Drogba and Lampard banging the goals, but that Chelsea backline with Cech in goal was insane. They went 4 Premier League months without conceding a goal, and it gets even crazier too, because at the end of the season, Chelsea only conceded a record 15 league goals. No one's breaking that anytime soon. That season, Cech won the Golden Gloves award hands down, and to celebrate, he had a special inscription printed on his custom gloves so everyone could take notice. Subscribe to Mr. Football. No wonder he's that good. Cech knows his stuff. Now, Chelsea had won the league in stunning fashion, all eyes were on them, and in the season that followed, Cech Cech and Chelsea knew trying to retain their title was going to be even harder, but they somehow found a way to do it. With back-to-back league titles in the bag, Cech was looking to make it 3 in a row the next season, but little did he know that months later, with his career on the up, he was about to come crashing down. On 14th of October 2006, Chelsea had an away game against Reading with Cech in goal. As usual, Chelsea was the favourites to win, and Cech fancied keeping a clean sheet, but barely 24 seconds into the game, all of that changed, and Cech's life was in the balance. Reading went on the attack, but Cech, in his usual style, swept out to catch the ball and got to it first, but Stephen Hunt refused to back down and crashed into Cech. At first, it looked like a weird collision, but when the replays came up again, it didn't look good. To make it worse, Cech just lay down there unconscious, and at first the doctors thought he was just feeling the effects of the collision until they realised that for over 5 minutes, Cech was brain dead. Immediately, the ambulance was called in and Cech got subbed out and taken straight to the hospital, where the doctors discovered that the collision with Hunt's knee was deeper than they thought. Literally. Cech's career wasn't even on the table now, man. It was a question of keeping him alive. So they scheduled him for the emergency brain surgery. In the end, they had to replace the 2 broken pieces of his skull with metal plates, and the surgery was a success. But with Cech going into recovery mode now, his career looked to be over. The doctors had advised him to retire because any type of injury like that again, and he wasn't going to make it. But Cech refused to give up, and instead he started looking for ways to accelerate his recovery process, and eventually came up with the idea to wear a rugby mask to training, and that turned him into an icon. Cech was initially scheduled to be out for a long time, but by January he was back in action and kept 8 clean sheets from January till April. The crazy thing is, Cech doesn't remember anything about what happened. Things could have been different. I lost consciousness, then I came round again, fell back out, and can't remember anything else. From the game, after the coin toss and handshakes at the start of the game, I can't remember anything else. It even affected his memory, man, and Cech returning to the pitch after just 3 months was a miracle. I have to say, a lot of people did not want me to return as quickly as I did. Some doctors even told me I could be out for up to a year and to forget the season, but it was my decision, and the will to come back to doing what I love was stronger. Now, despite the 8 clean sheets he kept after coming back, people still feared that Cech won't be the same goalie again, especially after seeing him play week in and week out with a helmet. But Cech didn't let any of that get to him because he was focused on his game and somehow got even better. In 2008, Cech became the first goalie in Chelsea's history to keep 100 clean sheets, and in 2012, he got his crowning moment. Cech had won every domestic trophy possible with the club, but when it came to European trophies, his cabinet was empty. In 2008, Chelsea came within seconds of finally winning it in the rain in Moscow against rivals United. With the game finished 1-1, it went to a penalty shootout, and once again, Cech looked like he was going to be the hero of the night for his club, saving United star man Ronaldo's kick, but misses from captain John Terry and Nicolas Anelka allowed United to win the shootout. But 4 years later, in 2012, Chelsea and Cech got another chance at the big time. Chelsea versus Bayern Munich in the 2012 Champions League final, and the Blues were the heavy underdogs because the final was being played at the Allianz Arena, Bayern Stadium. Chelsea was on the back foot from the first minute, and the only reason they stayed in the game for so long was because the back line commanded by Cech was keeping them in it, until the 83rd minute when Thomas Müller put Bayern in front. But Chelsea somehow found a way to equalise 5 minutes later through Didier Drogba and forced the game to extra time. But soon, Chelsea's hero of the evening turned into the villain when he gave away a penalty in the box, and Cech's former teammate, Arjen Robben, had the chance to put Bayern in front. But Cech had a lot more riding on it. He remembered the injury from 6 years back and knew this was his chance at redemption. And in a shocking plot twist, he saved the pen and took the game to a shootout. Once again, Chelsea was behind early. They missed the first kick, but Cech saved 2 more from Ivica Olic and Bastian Schweinsteiger and allowed Drogba to slot home to give Chelsea the win. Cech finally had his crowning moment, and it's crazy to think how all of that could have ended 6 years ago. Just like Ronaldo's career could have ended with his life when he got involved in a freak accident. Or Messi was inches away from dying on the pitch. Click the next video to find out the 7 footballers who are lucky to still be alive.